Now, marking is one of those things that seem to be different no matter where you go around the world. We've tried to make it as flexible as we possibly could. We've added some new features, and with marking now we can select zones to be the front end, and we can add and take away the way the marking is set up. So the next button that comes in line for both the welded members and the components is the settings for our marking. So if we click on component marking settings and bring that up, those that have used this before are familiar with how this works. We've now built in use zone name, which is a new added feature, instead of using project number. We can create templates which we save them under for names, so that if you're doing projects for a particular customer or you're doing projects for a particular fabrication shop and they like the mark a certain way, you can set that up for them for both parts and for welded members. For parts, at the moment, if you wanted to, you can take away the little dash I've got. You can add suffixes, more zeros or less zeros. Now, I'm going to come back to the number of zeros that you need for this. This is very important. We're using plate vendor, and it looks like my interface needs to be fixed. The number of zeros is important because what happens is if you have 999 plate components in your job, you need to have more likely 4 zeros because you need to go from 1000 to 9999. It's inclusive of the number of zeros that the mark system works in its sequential numbering. That means that if I've got 10 plates in a job, I'm going to need 99 as my upper limit. That means that I need 3 numbers in my suffix in order to collect that number. Now, usually if you know that your project's going to get to, say, let's just say you're hitting 90 in your component marks, it's probably wise that at that particular point that you need to change this so that you've got 3 zeros. It's just that you need to account for the fact that it could go over the 100 or over the 99 and then enter into the hundreds. Now, if that happens, you've got to make sure you've got enough zeros to take that into account because it limits, it doesn't append. And what I mean by that is if you get to 9, it won't jump to 10 unless you've got 99 numbers allocated. And that means that you need to have 0, 1 in there and so forth. That's pretty much how the marking system, sequential system works. That's how you can create templates. It's a fairly simple, robust process, and we've added more and more to it so that more and more customers can create different types of marks. So when they produce their fabrication drawings, these marks will stay the same or match whatever the fabricator requires. I'm going to exit out. Now, if you change this and click set and then exit, what will happen is all your marks that you currently have will be reset. So just be mindful that that will happen if you change your marks midway through a project that has already been consolidated and drawings that have been issued. So the very, very beginning of your project, you must also just determine that you're going to need a certain number of suffixed numbers in order to work out how many components that may consolidate in your project before you issue the drawings. Now, if you're in the 90s or the high 90s, or you're in the 9s or the 999s, just add another 0 just to be safe. So I'm going to exit out. The same thing now occurs for welded member marks. So welded member marks are a little bit different in the way that they're set up because we can use abbreviations and filters. We've also added the zone name now instead of the project number if you want to use the zone, and you can modify this information to produce the marks that you require. Same thing happens. You can also create templates, and you can also set, and it will reset all of your marks with the new mark.